Hi studies, how are you doing? Welcome to my channel. Hope you are great. Disclaimer: this video reflects my personal opinions and commentary. It is not intended to harass, harm, or defame any individual. Content is for discussions and educational purposes. So I came across this video of Justin Pearson, right, being blocked. He's a lawmaker, for those that do not know. He was being blocked from hearing of his own district, right? And this picture is worth, I don't know what to say, thousand millions words, because you could see the confrontation. I don't know why I feel so bad about what is going on right now in Tennessee. And this young man, there are two, Justin Pearson and Justin Jones. They have been fighting since how many years? Since they became lawmakers. They are very young, quite very young. I don't know how a district, or let's say a state, where it is 60-something% of Black people, and you guys have decided that, you know what, I am going to make their voice voiceless. You can imagine having to fight what I am sure some of these people, like Justin Pearson or Justin Jones, maybe their father actually experienced Jim Crow. And you can imagine people that experienced Jim Crow having to experience it again in 2026. This is abomination for those that do not understand what is going on. Let's get into this video.
This image is going to be in history books. A Black Tennessee state representative named Justin Pearson was physically blocked from attending a meeting involving the district that he was elected to represent. We can see the sergeant at arms on the right there blocking the doorway, refusing entry to this state representative. This was a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing regarding a highly controversial redistricting plan. The sergeant at arms blocked Pearson at the door. He was kept outside and forced to watch the proceedings on his phone. The meeting was about a map that fractured the majority Black 9th Congressional District, the last one in Tennessee, and the same area Representative Pearson represents. The redistricting plan, which unfortunately passed, carves Memphis into 3 separate majority white districts. Republicans even said the goal was to maximize partisan advantage to support the national GOP's congressional majority. Here's why this is so ridiculous. Memphis is 62.9% Black. They're recognized as the largest majority Black city in the United States. Now they have 0 representation because Donald Trump is terrified that he's going to lose the midterms.
Are you familiar with these photos from the 1960s? These are photos of 2 Black activists being held from legislative meetings in Memphis, Tennessee. Just kidding, these photos are actually from April 7th, 2026. And not only are they activists, but they are members of Congress being held from meetings where they are supposed to be. With the repeal of Section 2 in the Voting Rights Act, Republicans in Tennessee are gerrymandering the crap out of Memphis, the single majority Black district in all of Tennessee. The one district that covered Memphis is now being split into 3 parts, each receiving a third of all Black voters. Which now not only means that there's no district representing the Black vote, it actually turned this blue district into 3 separate Republican districts. And this is where Justin Jones and Justin Pearson come in. Justin Jones represents the 52nd District in the House of Representatives for Tennessee, and Justin Pearson represents the 86th District in the House. If you didn't know, these are 2 of the Memphis Three. They, along with Gloria Johnson, fought for reform laws after the Covenant School tragedy. And immediately after this, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson were ousted by their own colleagues. They were voted out. And Gloria narrowly avoided losing her position, but let's play a spot the difference game to guess why. And a piece of poetic justice is Justin Jones, after he was ousted, there was a special election for his seat and he won that back. So obviously the people wanted him there. But all of that over wanting children to be safe at school. Now, Samuel Alito, who is the Supreme Court justice who decided to rule out Section 2, made the claim that there was a larger turnout of Black voters than white voters, both nationally in the presidential election and in his state of Louisiana. But The Guardian did some research into that and found out he actually used bunk population statistics, making it possible for this redistricting to happen. And we know that this is targeted at the Black population because in one of those districts, 72% of the Democrats that occupied that last district are there, but they're white. So those white Democrats weren't split into thirds. It was only the Black population that was undermined, so they will not have political power in any of these districts. America has never been a democracy, but this is taking it to a next level. We are careening towards an authoritarian surveillance state. And the most ironic part is it's the party that hates big government. But because this gives them political power right now and screws over minorities right now, they're totally okay with it. This is textbook authoritarianism. You find a minority population to blame everyone's problems on. You get the majority demographic to support you as you strip away their rights, all because it harms that minority that they don't like. And then when the majority demographic wakes up, because something happens, because they are finally inconvenienced by the laws that they themselves supported, only then will they realize that they voted for their own suppression. And it's literally that poem where, and then they came for me and there was no one left to fight. That poem. My father was born into Jim Crow era Florida, and he may live long enough to see all of his rights stripped again. One generation of freedom. These activists are putting themselves on the line to fight for people who don't even like them or want them here. They are selflessly advocating for us all, while they also advocate for their districts. Anyways, Justin Pearson is running for Congress, and I think you should go and visit and show him support because we really need more people like this in our government.
Some pictures become historical, and this will probably be one of them. This is Justin J. Pearson, one of the youngest lawmakers in Tennessee, being denied entry into a Senate committee hearing yesterday. So let's talk about what happened. But if this is the first time you're seeing me, my name is Z, and I run the largest counter organization to Turning Point USA on the left, National Ground Game. You've probably heard about us through the Unfuck America tour. But next week, I have groundbreaking news coming out in Turning Point USA that you are not going to want to miss, so go ahead and hit that follow button. Okay, really quick to catch you up. So Tennessee has become the latest state that has become victimized to Republican redistricting. What happened was just 2 days ago, they were able to pass a new congressional map that would completely eliminate the congressional district that covers Memphis, which is the only major Black voting population in the entire state. And rightfully so, they were met with protests. Instead of protecting all people involved in this and making the situation better, instead, law enforcement decided to not protect the protesters at all, instead to arrest them, and decided to instead protect the lawmakers that were making these horrific decisions, including this woman, by the way, who decided it was a good idea to laugh at those protesters. What's even more disgusting about this situation is that Republicans were very strategic and moving very quickly after the Supreme Court decision to make sure that this would happen in their favor. All we can do as Democrats is fight back legally, which is happening. And mark my words, the next step in this process is going to be voter intimidation, which is exactly what is going to happen as we head into the midterms, because Trump knows that if he doesn't win this redistricting war, that is going to be his only hope left. Please support the organizations fighting back against this, and remember to follow me to Unfuck America.
I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. These men are more radical and more revolutionary than any white leftist, any socialist, communist, or whoever. These men are far more revolutionary than any of those people could ever be put together. When you think of any of the Black revolutionaries or Black civil rights leaders that white leftists love to weaponize and bastardize their words against Black people and Black Americans, when you think of these people, think of what would they be doing right now in this moment. And oftentimes, it's exactly this. It's exactly what these two men are doing. And he is fighting for his constituents, because look how he is putting his body on the line for the people that he represents. But when we look at the leftists, what do we see? The softest, most timid response to actual civil rights and voting representation being ripped away by Republicans. Imagine if leftists made as much noise about this as they did about Gaza or universal health care. People might actually know about what's happening. People might actually feel angrier about what's happening. Instead, they say nothing. They hardly talk about it. If anything, we have seen glee and giddiness from leftists seeing that Black people are now having their representation ripped away from them. Why? Because it is the Black vote that stops their leftist white candidates from seeing any power. So they're hoping, okay, now we might actually...
Minutes.
These maps are racist tools of white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacist in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Memphis is the most beautiful place on the planet. It's the place that raised me, my brothers, my parents, my grandmothers, and where my ancestors' bones rest. And what you are doing today is eviscerating the only Black majority congressional district in our state because we are majority Black. We are here because this Republican Party has to seek to steal elections and seats because the president and the party have refused to address the pain, the suffering, and the struggling of everyday Tennesseans. This is about attacking, targeting, and cracking District 9 into pieces for more political and racial dominance and white supremacy in the state of Tennessee. And we need to realize that the Calais decision that you all are basing your decisions off of, that gutted the Voting Rights Act, that Voting Rights Act was paid in blood. It was not just a parchment of paper signed into law. It was paid in blood on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Paid in blood by Medgar Evers, paid in blood by Fannie Lou Hamer. It's been paid in blood year over year, time after time, assassination after assassination, lynching after lynching, so that more people might be able to ascertain access to this constitutional democratic republic experiment that is currently being gutted and seeking to be gutted by this chamber, by this House, this Senate, and this state. What is happening here is immoral and wrong. And I was reading my Bible early this morning, asking God why this is happening. Why, again, does it seem that white supremacy is seeming to gain? Why, again, does it seem like the pillars of pain that we have felt and experienced for over 400 years in this country continue to rise again? And whispered in the words of this Bible and in the words of those ancestors that have gone before us is just these simple words: we're still here. We are still here. This nation, this state has legislated and legalized the worst things in humanity, including our enslavement, and we are still here. Right in this country where, as one black woman said, your ancestors enslaved us, denied us of our rights, called us 3/5 of a person, and yet we are still here. You put us on cotton plantations and tobacco plantations. You denied our human rights and our right to exist as children of God, and we are still here. You destroyed Tulsa. You killed and lynched black folks on poplar trees. Shelby County, Tennessee had the most lynchings of anywhere in this state where you're taking this district, and we are still here. You've had 3 strikes laws, mass incarceration, denied us of who we are, and we are still here. And today you'll take the only majority black district from us. But I want you to know, and I want my nephew, sons, and the future to know, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try and break us and make us bend and make us quit, we will still be here.
Leader Camper, you're recognized.
They're taking us backwards to this type of environment where black folks are not treated with equal representation, where we're pre-1965. My grandparents fled the South during Jim Crow to go to Chicago because of the racial terror of things like this, where black folks were not treated as equal citizens in our democracy, where they had crosses burned in their yards, where they had to endure days in jail cells and nights of bomb threats just for trying to vote. And so my reaction is outrage and grief, because my grandma told me stories of what this time was like, and I really believe that they're turning back the clock of history. I walked into this Capitol today. It was 2026. I walked out the Capitol, and it was pre-1965. And they're not going to stop here. They're going to, when we come back in January, I'm sure they're going to re-gerrymander our legislative districts. And I represent the most diverse district. I'm the youngest black lawmaker here in the state of Tennessee. And I know what's going to happen. We're going to lose more voice, and we're going to see the largest loss of black legislators and black representation since the end of Reconstruction. And that's the time they're bringing us back to. And so I burned this Confederate flag because we beat them before, and we're going to beat them again.
All right, so I stole this picture from a friend on Facebook. Thank you, Kathy, for posting this. But this is congressional member Justin Pearson of Memphis, and he's being blocked by this sergeant of arms from entering a meeting and the meeting concerns the redistricting of his district, and he's not allowed to enter the fucking meeting. A white officer blocking a black man from entering a meeting that is taking voting and representation rights from the black community in Tennessee, and he is not allowed to enter to represent his constituents. And this is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy, okay? It's mind-blowing to me how many decades this horrible fucking administration is taking us back in this country. I mean, it's always been there, but Trump and his administration just make it seem okay to his people. It's not okay to the rest of us. What the fuck?
In a few years, I'm going to say 7th grade on up, American kids from everywhere is going to see this picture in their textbooks. And they're going to sit here and say that this was so long ago. They're going to sit here and say that, that was long ago. Because in black and white, they truly give a fuck about being honest to your kids about this country. I'm going to need for y'all to show them the full picture. And the full picture is in color. Because just because Jim Crow sees in black and white, that don't mean that we do. Because baby, everything that they doing is in color. Therefore, show your kids the full picture, the color. Not show them in black and white, show them in color so they can see the full picture.
Listen, I'm just a normie who likes politics, all right? And this picture spoke so freaking loudly to me. The saxophones were so insanely loud. To the left, we have Justin Pearson, a Tennessee state representative. And to the right, we have an officer blocking him from entering a meeting about a district that he represents in Tennessee. With his hand to his chin and that chef's kiss afro, this is going to be in the history books. Wow.
Black people's voting rights and power of representation are under attack in this country. Let's talk about what's happening right now because it feels extremely reminiscent of a Jim Crow America. Donald Trump is terrified of the 2026 midterms, as in terrified of the chance he'll get prosecuted and be held accountable for the Epstein files, being a scammer, putting his son-in-law in charge of foreign affairs while making billions of dollars, being a sexual predator, and making us listen to his wife for the last year who sounds like Dracula.
These military mothers who find themselves alone, awake in their thoughts in the darkest hours of the night.
While giving Don Jr. and Eric the contract to supply the government with the things they need for the Iran war. He is so scared, the DOD just released more UFO files saying that the aliens exist and we don't care. And this is all if the Republicans lose control of the House and the Senate. His approval ratings is around 33%. Historically, the party in the White House loses seats in the midterms, but he cannot afford to lose the House. So instead of earning votes, he decides to just redraw the map. Last year, Trump pressured the Republican-controlled state Texas legislature to redraw their congressional districts mid-decade. Not after a census, not because anything changed, but because he needed Republican seats. If we know anything about Republicans, they can't win by not cheating. That opened the door, and then the Supreme Court came and made everything worse in one decision. Last week, the Supreme Court gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the provision that for decades prevented states from drawing maps that wiped out black voting power. And as soon as that happened, the South moved immediately. Tennessee called a special session. They repealed a 54-year-old state law that banned mid-decade redistricting. And the same day they repealed it, they signed a brand new map into law. That map took Memphis, a majority black city, and carved it into 3 separate districts, each stretching hundreds of miles into rural Republican territory. The state's only black majority congressional district was gone, just like that. 9 congressional seats in Tennessee, 0 Democrats, 0 black representation. And it didn't stop there. Alabama held a special session to do the same thing. Democrats filibustered for 5 hours, hundreds of protesters flooded the hallways chanting, "We shall not be moved," and then an actual tornado warning went off. The building flooded, the fire alarms were going off, security started evacuating people, but the Republicans refused to leave before they voted to eliminate black voting rights.
So they know that we need to be in the basement.
Imagine how racist and threatened you have to be by black existence that they would not leave a flooding building during a tornado to stop themselves from dismantling black voting power. Mississippi is being loud about their goals. They're holding a special session in the old Jim Crow era Capitol building to remove black voting power. That is how urgent this is to them, and that's how blatant they are doing it. Tennessee is done, Alabama is moving, Mississippi, Louisiana, South Carolina are all reviewing their maps right now. This is a coordinated top-down campaign to make sure black voters in the South cannot elect anyone who represents them before November. They're not hiding it. The Alabama Republican Caucus released a statement that said, Alabama Republicans are doing our part to ensure Congress stays red. This is Reconstruction era voter suppression with a 2026 legal framework around it. The tools are different, but the goal has always been the same, to remove black people from having any type of power or representation. But what is the solution? The immediate fight is in the courts. The NAACP already sued Tennessee hours after the map was signed, but the Supreme Court just showed us which way it's leaning. So litigation alone won't save us. The long-term structural fix is independent redistricting commissions, taking map drawing out of politicians' hands entirely, and a new federal Voting Rights Act to replace what the Supreme Court just gutted. That requires flipping the House in November. The solution to a rigged system is turnout so massive that even a rigged map can't contain it. That's exactly what happened in Georgia in 2020. And that's precisely why this gerrymandering push is happening right now. They saw what organized black voters can do. They saw Georgia, and they are trying to build walls before November gets here. Everyone needs to go out and vote in the midterms. These midterm elections are more important than any election we've ever had in recent years in America. If we show up with numbers, they can't blatantly steal and lie about the vote. Stay black, stay blessed.
The biggest thing I'll never get over when I think back, specifically on what took place in Tennessee, is how they laughed while they did it. The people who would sit there and try to tell you with a straight face that what they're doing with these maps is meant to make everything fair are laughing at people while they make this happen. They know they're breaking the law. They change the law so that they can get away with whatever they want, and then they laugh at you while they do it. And this is actually a big reason why Jim Crow lasted as long as it did. You know, I always find it interesting when we have the conversation of why are Republicans and why are MAGA so angry all the time? If they feel like they're winning, why are they angry all the time? Well, it is because the only thing that brings them real joy is the opportunity to bring active harm to another community. For many of these people, the rush that they feel from wielding that type of power over another human being is something that they live for. It's something that they've wanted their entire lives. A lot of you sit at home and you would think, how could people behave this way? How could they want to behave this way in 2026? Well, it is because they've been waiting. They've been waiting for the perfect time and opportunity to act on who they truly are. And during the height of Reconstruction and ultimately the Jim Crow era, those were also people acting on who they truly were when they were bringing harm and violence to the black community. The cruelty is the point. Wielding that power is the point. And this is why when people play around with their politics and they don't listen to individuals that are trying to tell them what is on the horizon and trying to show them the signs of what can happen to them if they don't take things like their vote seriously, you end up with people like this in Tennessee who will laugh at you while they take your rights away.
You live in the South of the United States. You need to make a choice. Are you going to have a loyalty to the Confederacy or to the Union? Because y'all keep on pushing this Confederate bullshit as if you didn't betray the constitutional republic with it. And you continue to fucking do that bullshit. And the question becomes, do we continue to be a Union or do we fucking fall apart? And I'm all for falling apart because I'm in California. I don't give a fuck if the southern states want to do their own thing because it doesn't impact me. Okay, you being in the Union alongside with us and you still living, wanting to be in the Confederacy again, impacts me. If you never wanted to be in the Constitutional Union, then the best thing is for you to go. See, the Southerners who have been reminiscing about the Confederacy have hated the Constitution because they see it as too progressive. But the Constitution is what actually binds the states together. Without the Constitution, we're not a country. We are not a country, okay? So the fact that these pieces of want to go away with the 14th Amendment that gives citizenship, that gives equal protection, which the Supreme Court already kind of touched by saying that, hey, you know, even if you're not white and you're a U.S. citizen, you have the suspicion of not being a citizen, so federal enforcement can touch you because you look foreign. Being in California, where English came after Spanish, where, you know, white people came after Mexicans, that in itself is a violation of state rights. And it's about time that blue states really are serious about having the equal force against these forces. I believe that we need to bring that energy into the United States, where we as American citizens start to burn Confederate bullshit. The Confederacy will not survive, and you have to decide, can the South exist without the Confederacy or not? And if you say no, then commit to ending your relationship within the United States of America, because the United States of America is only about the constitutional republic, not the Confederacy. You have a choice to make. Stay or leave. You act like you're patriots to the Constitution, yet want to gut it. You're not patriots to the Constitution. You're patriots to the historical possibility of what America could have been for you. I think it's about time that blue states start to play the same way that red states. We need state non-compliance against the federal, including against the federal judgments, against the congressional policy, and against the executive policy. We need to establish that Second Amendment, a well-regulated group, in order to force our state laws, in order to secure our state borders away from this type of rot. If our constitutional liberties start to be dissolved, then so will the Union. That's what we have to proclaim. You end the constitutional contract, you end what binds us. Let Texas take care of the red states. Let Florida take care of the red states. We as blue states have to commit that the dissolution of our political liberties will lead to the dissolution of this Union. Not because we don't have a loyalty to the Constitution, but because there is an avid constitutional coup ongoing that is being led by Southern voices that are intending to replicate, to restore the Confederate ideology. See, this is what happens when we vote in establishment after a conflict. Because the establishment will say, well, we're not going to actually prosecute. We're not actually going to hold accountable because we don't want to make the Confederates feel bad. So with the disqualification clause, we're just going to allow for some of them to run into government, and it's fine because equal rights for all, representation for all, unless you're of color. No, it's time that we make the judiciary choose, that we make the Congress choose, that we make the executive choose. The Constitution or no Constitution. Because if you choose no Constitution, including the 14th Amendment, then that means that you don't want the United States of America. You don't want a united union. You want the Confederacy. And that's all fine as long as you're not pulling all the other states along with you. The Confederacy must die or you must leave the Union. And if you don't, that means that there is no union, so the blue states have an opportunity to disconnect from the federal union because the only legally binding document is a constitution which is being eroded. So without a constitution, we have no union. Once this falls, we need to criminalize the Confederacy. We need to criminalize the symbolism. We need to criminalize it because, no, the United States isn't just about unconditional freedom because it never was. It's about constitutional liberty within the threshold. And when there is a threat to the constitutional health, that means that can be restricted, including the Confederate symbolism, including the Confederate speech. It's about time that we make them pay for all of their sins. We are in a civil war. It's just the blue states haven't recognized that. The blue states haven't realized that. The blue states haven't held the political bravery to live up to what's required to fight against this.
I never thought in my lifetime I'd see another Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, or Fred Hampton. They're mine right there. He make me want to get back out there. I said I was done. When they did that with that election with Kamala, I said I was done. Whatever they do, I don't care. Do whatever you got to do. That might make me want to get back out there. They better watch him. Blessings to that brother too. Protection around him, cause yeah, he make me want to get back out there. It is what it is. What it is. That man from Memphis. Watch that mind. You heard me. Let's go. Justin, let's go. I'm with it. Whatever you want, I'm on.
These maps are racist tools of white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacist in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
That was Tennessee State Rep Justin Pearson talking about Republicans carving up Tennessee's last black district. Listen to it.
This is all I got from this video, and I am going to say a very big shout out to Justin Pearson and Justin Jones because there are two. Now let me tell you, I will take you guys a little bit back about 3 years or 3 years plus now, going to 4 years, in 2022, 2023, where these young men too, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, were the ones also that stood to fight for my people, for their people, for ourselves, because black people, you are all you've got. These young men are so young. I can't remember how old both of them are, but they are very young, very, very young, right? And after how many years? We are right now in 2026 again, and they are also fighting. I might not be able to put into words what these young men are doing, because watching them fight, you can imagine, sorry about that, you can imagine an era, Jim Crow and all that. They did not live through that period and all that, but these young men are out here fighting because they are, if you check, probably their parents or something like that experienced Jim Crow. And you can imagine people that experienced Jim Crow, how many decades ago, having to experience the same Jim Crow in 2026 upwards. You see that picture there? This is what I call iconic picture. When you have to stand and face your fear, to fight for what you stand for, to fight for yourself, to fight for your community, to fight for your loved ones. If you ever see these young men coming out for Congress, they must be voted in, because they have proven to us that they have all it takes to be there. And as crazy as this, for how many days we've been on this, and I don't know how I feel. I kind of feel beat up. Why? Because black people have been fighting, like they have been on one. You can imagine having to fight for something you fought for before, or what your ancestors fought for, right? And in 2026, you have to, can you imagine what they fought for, let's say in 1960 something or 70 something. This is me giving as an example. And you have to come back again. My heart is so heavy. Like, my heart is hurting me. You have to come back again in 2026 to fight for the same thing. And you think that is okay. That is not okay. This administration know what they are doing. And in the end, you are going to hear things like, it is never all about race. Can you just shut up and listen that every damn thing is all about race? That is what it is. How many percent of black people? 60-something%. So the rest are probably people of color and maybe white people, but it is 60-something% of black people. And that 60-something% of black people, you decided that their vote will never count. Who does that? I don't know how to say this, but I will keep saying it. Black people go to bed as normal people. Some people don't go to bed as normal people because they have to stay awake to know where and how to make their life harder. Black voice does matter. Enough of waking up to take away people's right for no reason. We haven't done anything to you. We deserve better. Bye for now.